Hello, and welcome to The Deep Dive. I'm Livy Dunlap. After announcing her retirement in February, Ruth Sinn led the St. Thomas women's basketball team to its first Summit League semifinal in her 21st and final season as head coach. As the coach with the most wins in program history, Sinn led the Tommies to more than 400 wins and 9 Minnesota Intercollegiate Athletic Conference championship wins. She also was named MIAC Coach of the Year 4 times, West Region Coach of the Year twice, and was a National Coach of the Year finalist in 2012. Today, I'm joined by Coach Ruth Sinn to discuss her career at St. Thomas, as well as future retirement plans. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
After such an accomplished career, it seems like maybe this could have been a pretty tough decision.
Yes, it was, because I really enjoy the game. And I enjoy the people. You know, they always say that you are who you surround yourself with, and being here at St. Thomas with our administration, my fellow coaches, my assistant coaches, and these incredible student athletes, I'm surrounding myself with some pretty amazing people. And so it was difficult to be able to give that up. I still love the game and I still love that stuff, but my family is very important to me, and you know, there's a lot of times that they had to take a back seat, and they need to be the starting 5 right now, and so I'm going to put them in the starting 5.
Your list of accolades seems to go on forever. For example, we have yet to mention the fact that you are among some of the first women to be inducted into the UST Hall of Fame. With all of this in mind, how do you define success?
I define success as significance. It's not so much what you've done, it is the impact you've had. And I would define it as the people and the relationships. You know, the beauty of this whole sports experience is the people that I become in the process, and the people I become through my relationship with them. Every season has a life into and of itself. You begin in June now, and we go all the way through the end of March, and then we redo it again. But in that time, you get to share life together. You get to share goals and aspirations, and you know, it's pretty uncommon to have so many people with the same goal and to be about something bigger than yourself. And so the enjoyable part of coaching is that at that one time, you get to just stop time and be fully present where you're at with these people. And so when I define success, it would be more so the significance in, you know, helping them understand who they are and who they're meant to be, and the process of that self-discovery and that development, and then the impact that they can have on each of us, and not even right here in St. Thomas in our basketball community, but even as they progress and go on, you know, in their professions as mothers, as community leaders. That's where I would define my success, is the people.
Thank you. You played on the St. Thomas basketball team as a student before you started coaching, leading to your team to 2 MIAC championships in the 80s. How would winning and that winning culture from your time as a student translate into your time coaching?
I would say, you know, what I took from my time from coaching was with my head coach. My head coach was Coach Tom Cosell, and he was a firm believer in chasing comprehensive excellence, but yet doing it with people in mind. So he was about people and relationships and connections, and really starting first there. And so I would say I brought that aspect into my coaching, that I was influenced by him in that way, you know, when I started to move forward, and that would be the impact that that had on me.
Thank you. You coached the women's basketball team during its jump from Division III to Division I in 2021. What was your approach like during such a historic transition?
You know, the first thing is, when we heard that we were making that jump, it's trying to get as much information and education so you know what the next step is. Mm-hmm. Obviously, in St. Thomas fashion, you're always going to strive for excellence. And so once we got that, understand the territory, understand, what it's like to travel, what it's like to, go to different gyms and get on the airport, plane, all those things. Then it was about, okay, what are the next standards expected and what are the next expectations and how do we move the needle with our student athletes as far as how their approach is. And I'm very, very proud of what we have accomplished in these last 5 years because, as we said, we went from Division III with no scholarship athletes to a Division I institution. If you look at the women that have come through our program, I couldn't be more proud. If you look at the success we've had on the court, every single year we've taken a step and we've improved the program, finished at a higher level, and really had much more impact in the Division I level and the Division I landscape.
Coach, I love your sideline style, and while many coaches have moved more towards wearing sweats on the sidelines, you and your staff were always dressed to the nines at the home games. Why was that important to you?
I think as a female coach, one of the things I want to do is be my authentic self. And if you've ever seen me on the sidelines, I'm a little intense, I'm a little passionate, I want to achieve. The girls laugh because back at the old Schoenecker Arena, right where my box is, there's all these little dents from my high heels, trying to stomp and go through that. But the one thing that I always wanted them to know is you need to be your authentic self, and I am a role model. And being a role model, I want them to say is I can be passionate, I can be committed, I can chase excellence, I can be competitive with the best of them. But yet, at the end of the day, I am also a female. I'm a mom. I'm a role model for them, and you can be all those things. You don't need to be in boxes with that. And so I always dressed up and had our staff dress up, especially at our home games, because we were representing something bigger than ourselves.
Thank you, Coach. Having the perspective of a past player and a coach in both D3 and D1, how have you seen women's college basketball evolve throughout time?
It's so fun to watch, the growth of the women's game. It used to be, women would support women, but now we've got everybody in on that. And I give so much of the credit to all the women that are playing the game. They're aspiring to be more. And you look at like a Caitlin Clark and an Angel Reese and a Brianna Stewart and, all these players, Paige Beckers. But that's the neat thing about it is it used to be people didn't know their names. Now, in the women's game, a lot of the big names, they know their names more than they know the men's college basketball players. And it's so fun to watch their stories unfold and just really see the game take that next step. And I think we're right at the cusp of it here at St. Thomas as well. So we're going to try to continue to move the needle that much more and get more people to follow women's basketball and get excited about it.
Yeah. You've been a Tommy's player. You've been a Tommy's coach. Mm-hmm. Are you excited to be a Tommy's fan?
I will always be a Tommy's fan. That is going to be the fun part. Even this past Tuesday, the men were playing and we had the family over for St. Patty's Day celebration, and we had to stop. Even my oldest was like, well, we're done with basketball. It's like, no, we're never done with basketball. So we'll always be cheering on the Tommies. There's no question. The purple runs deep.
It's clear how much family means to you from the way that you coach and talk about your players, even down to your granddaughter sitting with you in South Dakota at a recent press conference. Do you have any fun plans with her and the rest of your family coming up?
Oh, there's no question. I mean, it's hard to believe that I've been here 21 years. It just has gone by in a blink of an eye. And, the reason I'm stepping away is I want to be more present with her. And so I was excited that she got to be on the interview table. And she did a great job, but she loves this game as well, but I need to be present with her. Her big thing right now is anytime she sees the shield, she'll tap it and say, "Go Tommies." And so we've got a fan in her, but I want to spend that time with her because you talk about a blink of an eye, 21 years. They're only little for 10 years, if that. And so I don't want to miss out on that time.
When people look back at the Ruth Sinn era of Tommy women's basketball. What do you hope people will say and remember about this time?
I hope that they understand I did it with the idea that I wanted to empower my players. I wanted them to believe in who they could achieve and what they could achieve, and that it was a magical time. I have a former player, Jenna Doctor, who was an All-American for us, and I remember she came back and she had her little niece, Hazel, with her, and she said, "Coach, Hazel doesn't remember the magical time when I played." And my heart just sank, because it's like, that's what it's about, is that we had just a great time, just, sharing this journey with each other and, being ourselves. And so I hope that's what they remember, is that, I did it for a belief in these players and who they were and who they could become. And, I feel good about that.
Well, Coach Sinn, thank you so much for coming in today. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Follow along at thecrest.news and follow us on social media at The Crest News for more stories from your campus community. With Ruth Sinn, I'm Livy Dunlap. We'll see you next time we deep dive.